Good afternoon and evening. Let's try that again. Good afternoon and evening, everyone. It is Terraquator on your Friday, day 26.
Why you bully me?
I'm still sober. But frankly, right now, I'm having one of those stressful days where these are the kinds of days where it's harder because it's the end of the month. I'm broke. Usually, like the two toughest times in the month where it's harder to deal with that quote unquote itch to have a drink is the beginning of the month when we get paid and the end of the month when things are the most stressful and we're pretty much on the broke side is when it's harder. One moment. I apologize. I had a text discussing some things about our daughter. Let's see. Yeah, she needs to come home tonight. Yeah. Yeah, that's actually one of the reasons. So as I was saying, um, end of the month when we're broke and it's just the end of the month where things are more stressful is one of the other times where it's just more difficult to deal with the itch to have a drink. But one of the things is like, God, I need a drink is when things just definitely have gone wrong. And this is one of those moments where things have definitely gone wrong. Just one of those. I had a an uncomfortable conversation with Buttercup's teacher. She's definitely in trouble. She's definitely among other percentiles where performing below her grade level kind of thing. I've been hearing a lot more about that, usually with middle schoolers performing below. But she's not. Uh, she's doing worse now than she did at the beginning of the year. And I'm just trying to figure out the best solutions to deal with this because it's very difficult for a parent these days. I'd say these days it's much more difficult for a parent to deal with bad behavior in their children because they're expected to let the state do it. Well, the state ain't doing it because the school's not correcting any of these issues, and I can't exactly be hands off on the situation anymore. Because you can't let your child grow up using manipulative tactics to get out of things they don't want to do. And that's what I'm hearing is happening at school. Because schools now have what they call the cool off corner. In my personal opinion, I do not think elementary schools should have a cool off corner for students who are acting up because it become what I it was apparent even with our daughter and probably with others is they know they can use acting out to go into a cool off corner where they don't have to do the work, which means to them that is a reward. If I act out, I don't have to do any work. I can go here, relax, and play with stuff. So, yeah, Buttercup has definitely lost her. She already lost her tablet last night when I saw the letter, but with how bad things are after having talked to her teacher, yeah, she's definitely going to lose a lot more things that she can do to get out of responsibilities. And it's like a point of conflict because you can only do so much. And the things that were said that just downright, I guess I could say downright hurt, because there are things I never do. And I just I don't exactly like, honestly, I shouldn't be talking about this kind of thing, because I feel I'm the kind of person that's like, it's inappropriate for me to bring these up. I don't want to be that kind of parent where I talk about these on the internet, because it's not the internet's deal. But I guess I should use it as a warning for other parents who are struggling with underperforming and manipulative children, where I mostly try to, well, I've been in a position for a long time where I've tried to avoid being stern with my kids because of how things usually end up if I have to be. Because it's a mess that I shouldn't go into, but it spans before we were parents, kind of thing. It spans back further, and it doesn't involve me. But because of that, I try to minimize tense situations in the home. But it's obvious that has to change. But what hurt is it took until now for Buttercup's teacher to inform me that Buttercup was, she knows that I don't bend like others do. Like I don't give in and just give her what she wants. And if I let her know that she's in trouble with something, that I'm not going to turn. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, never mind, kind of thing. I don't let her push me around. Others let her push her around, and it needs to stop. But what hurt, like it really hurts, and it honestly scares me on like, what do I do about this? Is apparently at the earlier in the school year, and this was her teacher informing me this, is that Buttercup had done something, and very directly told her teacher, please don't let my dad know, he will slap me. But through inquiring, the teacher inquiring, and by the end of that day, this was earlier in the school year, admitted she made it up. So Buttercup admitted to her teacher that same day, and I didn't find out until more than halfway through the school year, that she lied to her teacher about if I found something out, that I'd slap her. No, I would not. I've never slapped her. But used that and admitted to her teacher of making it up because she just didn't want me to know. It's hurtful. It's like I've done everything I can to avoid confrontations in this house, and only to get this thrown in my face. It sucks, and I know I've got to be doing more as a dad, and as a parent in general. Bad timing on that push notification, but it's one of those, like, what do I do about this? Because she's already tried to use this tactic with someone before, but because she knew she didn't have a solid plan, I guess because she didn't have a solid plan with it, it wasn't going to work. But that makes me feel like because she got in trouble at school, she nearly got CPS called on me for something I didn't do and never would. It was like, I know I like, I'm afraid of yelling at my child, or, raising my voice in any way with my child, because is it going to start a fight in that, a verbal fight in the household? Is that going to happen? Is CPS going to be at my door because I had to raise my voice because my child was manipulating people And I did find out she's been lying to us about a lot of things. So she's definitely in trouble, and I have to figure out how I'm going to navigate this without me facing consequences for things I didn't do. It's rough. Like, even talking about this, I'm afraid that I'm going to be facing consequences for things I didn't do. Like, in all honesty, it's like, who do I talk to about these kinds of things? Because trust is not something that I have in a lot of people right now. And it's difficult, but yeah, that's why it's one of those hard days. It's like, God, I need to have a drink because things just went really sideways and my options are overwhelmingly limited. Because I can definitely tell you, I'm someone who's grown up in some form of system, not the penal system. I grew up in the mental health system, and that can fuck you up for life. That's not something I want any child to have to go through, because well, I'm going to be dealing with the after effects of that for the rest of my life, and that's not something I want my kids to go through. But what was used at her school was purely to get out of any kind of trouble and to get out of doing work. I almost got thrown under the bus so someone didn't have to write, or just so she wouldn't have to read a paragraph. That sucks. But she was supposed. Originally, I was going to do this video and say, well, oh, she's going to be staying the night over at her grandmother's. You know, have some fun over there because she needs to get out of the house. No, she's not staying the night over there. Not tonight. Taking the switch away from her more often. Like, I don't even know if she deserves an hour tomorrow. Because I told Lilia that she gets no more than like an hour on Saturdays. And I'm debating whether or not she deserves even that much. It's just I don't want to be cruel. But I can't be taken advantage of, and I definitely need to have this situation dealt with because holy crap, I'm in a delicate situation where if I don't find the right method of dealing with this, she's going to get herself into some kind of trouble that I can't get her out of and no one can. She's definitely not a lost cause, but she definitely knows how to manipulate a situation. But holy crap, she tried to use a manipulation earlier this school year that could have gotten me in trouble. When she admitted that same day that I didn't do it. I'm at a loss, and I'm not sure what to do. I know that if this were to spread around, they're like, oh yeah, just lay down the law with her. And like, no, I can't do that kind of thing. Because one, I can't be the kind of household where you get rough with people. That ain't right. Not to mention, she's already tried to throw me under the bus. She knows what people, like, who to manipulate and how. She's definitely learned manipulative tactics rather than negotiative tactics. I'd rather her learn how to negotiate than manipulate. But she knows who to manipulate and how to get out of what she wants and to stir conflict in other people. She definitely knows how to do that, and that's kind of scary. Because I tried very hard to make sure that's not the kind of lesson she learns in life, but that's what she's learning. And no, I'm if you're hearing some crinkling, I'm fiddling because I'm stressed out right now, but I'm crinkling up the foil on old caffeine pills. I haven't even had one. I have this Earl Grey with me. Boy, howdy, I feel like I need some chamomile tea or something like that. I could really go for that right now. But I apologize for that rant. It's just I'm in a delicate situation that needs very careful navigating. But in terms of her being behind on her lessons, I found out when it comes to this digital learning stuff, there are disadvantages to it, and I'm thinking we'll have to vote in a different superintendent in their school district because apparently everything is. So what I'm finding out is the schools are micromanaged. This is what I found out is that the lessons are micromanaged where they have to be teaching certain things at certain times and they check on them actively to make sure those specific things are being taught. But the problem is these schools are having all the children do everything on, tablets and Chromebooks. While that shouldn't be an issue, it is because one of the major things you have to do with a computer is learn how to type, which learning how to type would really help with reading and reading comprehension and spelling because you kind of have to do those while typing. They don't have any time whatsoever to give typing lessons to the students because of how micromanaged the lessons are. They have to be done, all of these lessons have to be done at very specific times and they're actively monitored or they're fired. I understand if teachers aren't doing their jobs, they need to be fired, but that kind of micromanaging and not taking modernized lessons into account. I mean, when I was in the third grade, I was learning how to type. I was learning how to type in the third grade. And it helped me a lot with spelling. It helped me a lot with my reading because you had to know what you were typing. We had time for that. How do they not have time to learn one of the very important skills you're going to need in a modernized tech world? That's a very important lesson to have, and they don't know how to do it. They have the typing lessons on those computers, and they're not allowed to use them because they don't have time. Which means I have to do it. I'm more than happy with it because I was thinking about getting a type to learn, like getting a subscription to type to learn, which by the way is really freaking expensive and it's really hard to get in as a parent because I've only been seeing portals for teachers for the type to learn program. So apparently they don't have home programs. I'll have to try finding one, but I'm pretty sure they're going to charge an arm and a leg for a subscription. Because again, it's mostly for schools, which I can understand. Schools are supposed to be teaching these things, but they're not exactly teaching them because of how micromanaged it is. And what I was told is that this was the superintendent's decision. I don't know anything about teaching, but I'm on the verge of being like, okay, well, I'm going to have to run for their position. Or find someone willing to do it who's not going to completely brainwash our kids or micromanage them into poor learning experiences. Because what I know is that cookie cutter factory learning settings don't work. If it's too mechanized, a child's not going to learn unless they're raised for a mechanized system. And well, I don't think any child these days are raised for mechanized systems. We don't do production factories anymore. Honestly, we should, but not with the learning curriculum. That's my complaint with learning curriculum these days. Is I know firsthand from growing up that cookie cutter learning curriculum just doesn't frickin' work. I hated school, but in Buttercup's situation, I've got to find solutions for her to at least toe the line. The bare minimum, at least, because she's not even doing the bare minimum. She knows that there are ways to get out of doing these things. Anything, really. So this weekend is going to be hard for her. Because her grandmother already said it was, the ultimate decision was up to us. And of course, she started crying that she didn't get to stay the night over there. So while I was talking, the response I had to give on here was because Lily was saying, well, her grandmother, or Buttercup's grandmother, is suggesting, well, maybe I can just have her read over here. I already said no. Not because I'm trying to be rude, but it's because Buttercup has to face consequences, and we have to be willing to uphold our decisions instead of negotiating a lighter sentence when this has been an ongoing problem. Because this is more than just today. If it was a just today thing, I'd have been like, okay. But I'm aware that it's more than just today. And these manipulations have been an ongoing issue in general. I apologize for laying this out, but this is a parent who's at a loss. Like, well, back to the drawing board on how raising is going to go, because I've tried to do it where everyone's like, no, you have to be nice and compassionate with your children, otherwise they're going to be bad. Only nice and compassionate, it can work, but you also need to have consequences for actions. They don't have to be over the top. You don't have to hurt your kids. You don't have to make them feel like dirt. You don't have to name call or anything like that. But kids do need to face consequences at home for poor decisions and acting out and doing what they're not supposed to. I'm aware of that. But when you grow up in a system where it's like, no, the state needs to do that, because if, the constant, no, this is abuse, that's abuse, this is abuse, oh, that's also abuse. And being around people where even raising your voice is supposed to be abuse, it's kind of difficult. And the last thing you want is the state to make the final decision, because that's not good. You don't want the state to be making those final decisions, because if it gets to the point where the state has to make a decision when someone does something bad, it's usually because you've done something so bad you go to jail or worse. So it's best the situation gets handled at home before it gets to that point, which means through a combination of positive and negative reinforcement. And I don't mean like the really, really bad negative. I just mean facing consequences, things being taken away, being made to do things you don't want to do, like clean, chores. It doesn't mean backbreaking labor. It doesn't mean making them do push-ups until they can't move. None of that kind of stuff. That's abusive. But I'll figure it out. But I've definitely got to get the manipulations, the manipulative behavior out, because I'd say manipulative behavior in children is extremely has the potential of being extremely destructive to families. So if we don't deal with the manipulation, then things are going to get really bad. So we'll get that handled. But I do apologize for laying it out there, because we already know these videos are more or less for me to keep on track with the don't pick up the bottle kind of thing. And so far, so good. This is one of those really sucky days, but I'm not going to go and get any, even if I could. I'm broke right now anyway. So that helps. But I had no intention of getting any. Still, these videos are mostly for me to keep on track, which means every once in a while you're going to see me go on a rant, if you see this. And I'm still going to be apologetic for it, because I don't mean to lay my problems out on other people. I understand the need to vent once in a while. Yeah, I guess you could call it venting. I'm frustrated. I'm hurt. I'm disappointed. But overall, I'm confident that I can get this mediated. I guess I could mitigated. I can get this situation mitigated. I think that's the right word, because I don't want to say dealt with, because then it sounds quasi-destructive, non-productive, I guess. I want a productive solution for all of this. Anyway, again, sorry for laying this out. This has dragged on long enough. I apologize. Day 26 has definitely been one of those days. It's a harder day. But I will see everyone tomorrow. Let's see if tomorrow goes better. See you tomorrow, everyone.
Personnel on decks 9 through 12 reported that station now.
One last flight here. Quickly, get aboard before it launches.
Oh no! Oh no! Ah!
Now would be a very good time to leave.